Hey folks, welcome. This is Ali. You are watching the All In Manager Show, the place to be if you want to grow your career and become a better boss today. Yes, that's possible. Okay, today what I wanted to do was start to talk to you about work from home. If you are a manager running a team remotely, you are feeling the pain right about now, right? People are losing motivation, employees are stressed out, deadlines are being missed. There's a lot of frustration going around. And it's not surprising that this is happening. Work from home is challenging in a normal time, let alone a raging pandemic. Now, I've been managing teams for almost a decade, actually much more than a decade. Wow, I am getting really old. And I've found three things that have worked really well for my team. And I want to start to share specific tactics that you can start to apply with the hopes that you can also start to help your teams grow and succeed. First things first, what I wanted to do was I wanted to share this really cool research that came out just yesterday. And by the way, we're in the first week of August here. So this is pretty cool stuff. This research is done by the good folks at Harvard and NYU. And they asked 3.1 million employees about their working style during the pandemic. And this is what they found out. According to Harvard and NYU, the pandemic workday has become 48 minutes longer. Wow. So we are working almost an hour more than we used to pre-pandemic. We're attending more meetings. And apparently, we are also inviting more people to these meetings, and we're sending more emails now. If we're sending more emails, we're obviously getting more emails as well. Long story short, what these guys are saying is we are working longer, we are sitting in more meetings, and there's a lot of email going back and forth. Now, there is an upside, which is important to mention, that since we're having more meetings, we have apparently shortened the duration of those meetings. So basically what they're trying to say is we've become a little more efficient at meeting management. I think that's an upside. Regardless, what this is telling us is we're doing a whole heck of a lot of work here. So it's no surprise that people are frustrated given there's a pandemic going on. We're working from home. If we have children, we're dealing with our children, and we're apparently doing a whole lot of work as well. So how do we start to manage our work from home time? How do we start to almost optimize our work from home? So let's start with these three specific tactics. So tactic number one is all about providing your teams with options, providing your teams with choices, providing your teams with a little more agency over their life. And here's how you can start doing that. Now, this is going to be a little controversial, but just hear me out. In March, when the pandemic started, and we all started to hunker down and work from home, everyone was turning on their webcam, right? We were excited to turn on our webcam. People were sharing their Zoom screens, their Zoom backgrounds. But now the reality is people are getting tired of turning on their webcam, right? And I started to understand. I was really interested to find out why is it that these video calls, be it Zoom, Google Hangout, Skype, whatever, are so exhausting. And I found the science behind it. And what the science is saying is that these video calls require more focus and more concentration than a face-to-face conversation. Let me just give you a personal example right now, right? If you and I are sitting in a conference room, I'm going to be looking not directly at you like I am through this camera all the time. I'm going to be changing my position a little bit. I'm not going to be watching for every single cue when it comes to your facial expression or your body language? Do you see how that changes a whole lot of everything? On one hand, I think it's great that we can do a video call and we can see each other. But on the other hand, just like anything in life, if we overdo it, we're going to actually drain productivity and do the opposite of what it is that we're trying to do. So, what I'm trying to explain to you guys is I think it's a good idea for you as a leader to tell your team, hey, folks, we don't have to turn on our camera all the time. And if you're uncomfortable with saying that, try it as an experiment and see what your teams think about. I'm willing to bet, $1 that if you give people the option of not turning on their camera all the time, they might take you up on that offer. That's one way in which you can give people just a little more control over their day-to-day. Another thing that I've done on my team, and it's worked really well, is I have given my team optionality or options or choices when it comes to meeting with me. Now, we do one-on-ones, and on my team, I always ask my team to come up with a time that's convenient for them. Regardless, I will still ask them again, hey, Jack or Rob or whomever, listen, if you guys want to try and change our one-on-one times, I'm completely flexible, right? That gives them a little more control. If you are doing team meetings, which you should be doing team meetings, that's another opportunity for you to ask your team, hey guys, we do our team meetings at 10 a.m. every week. Does the time still work for you? That gives them a little more control as well. The third thing, and I'm just rattling off some examples here, is when it comes to micromanagement, right? You can, first of all, you shouldn't be micromanaging your team, but, you can still ask them, hey, are there any projects that you feel I should be stepping in more or stepping out of, to help you? That gives your team a little more choice, a little more flexibility, a little more autonomy. And if your team has all the three things that I mentioned, flexibility, choice, and autonomy, you'll start to eventually see their motivation go up. You know why? It's a really simple reason. When you start to ask your team for their opinion, they start to get this signal from you that you as their manager trust them. So what I'm trying to tell you is when it comes to working from home, try to go the extra step and give your teams more choices. Okay. The second tactic that I want you to start to think about is I want you to revisit your meeting strategy. Here's what I mean by your meeting strategy. Now, you might be doing daily check-ins, you might be doing one-on-ones, you might be doing team meetings. If you know me, if you've been to any of my lectures, you'll know I am a massive advocate of doing one-on-ones. One-on-ones are great. I have done over 3,000 one-on-ones. I swear by them. They are an excellent leadership tool. If you think your one-on-ones are starting to slip, I think you should figure out a way to get them back on track. I would humbly encourage you not to miss your one-on-ones. Now, some managers like to do daily check-ins. In fact, I know a lot of managers were starting to do daily check-ins when we all started to quarantine. I have a different opinion on daily check-ins. I'm not a big believer in them. And that doesn't mean that they don't work. I think they have the potential to work if your team wants you or also wants to do a daily check-in with you. Normally, it's the boss that wants the daily check-in, and the employees are getting stuck trying to appease the boss. So, if you want to do a daily check-in, if you really feel that the daily check-in is helpful, might I suggest that you ask your team what they think of it. If they are getting a lot of value from the daily check-in, I say you go for it. I say you totally do the daily check-in. However, if you give them options like we did in our first tactic, you might find out that they might no longer require you to check in with them daily. They might suggest, hey, what if we did, a check-in twice a week, Mondays and Fridays, or Tuesdays or Thursdays, or whatever. So that's one way in which you can capitalize on these meetings that you have with your team. So what I'm suggesting is double down on your one-on-ones, okay? And then revisit your daily check-in strategy if you're doing one. And then team meetings. Now, some managers do team meetings. Well, a lot of managers do team meetings, but a lot of managers don't do team meetings as well. Again, I encourage you to start doing team meetings, and you don't have to do them on a weekly basis if you don't want to. I think a bi-weekly team meeting is just fine. However, what I would do is I would invite my team into the thought process, meaning ask your team, hey guys, do you want to meet on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis? Here's why we're talking about revisiting our meeting strategy, because meetings are fatiguing, right? People are tired of meeting all the time. This is what I tell my clients. Your employees don't want connection. They want meaningful connection. There's a big difference between connecting with people for the heck of connecting and for really providing meaningful connection. Your job as a manager is to figure out what meaningful connection looks like for you and for them. So that's tactic 2, which is figuring out, how to freshen up or give your one-on-ones and team meetings a little more love, and to figure out if a daily check-in is required or not. The third tactic is specific to you, okay? And this one's really hard. As a manager, you have a lot going on, right? You are also probably drowning in a lot of meetings. What I want you to do is, you can do it right now if you want to. I want you to open up your Outlook or your Gmail, and I want you to do a quick audit of your weekly calendar just for this week, or you could do it for next week, and just give it 30 seconds. It's not going to take more than 30 seconds, and just go through your meetings and just ask yourself, right? Does every single meeting on my calendar require my presence? Let me repeat that again. Does every single meeting on my calendar this week require my presence? Here's the thing. Chances are you have a lot of meetings. Chances are it's very difficult for you to get out of most of the meetings, and that's understandable. You're a busy person. You're an important person. But chances are that you have at least 1 or 2 meetings where you don't need to go. Either your presence is not required, or you can delegate that meeting, or you can have someone else attend that meeting for you, right? Your time is extremely valuable, and COVID is teaching us a really difficult lesson of prioritizing our time. You guys, life is really short. I'm not trying to get really philosophical here, but life is short. how you spend your time is how you spend your life. And your weekly calendar is a great snapshot, is a great visual snapshot of how you are willing and how you are choosing to spend your time. Now, listen, I understand you have a boss, you have commitments, you have responsibilities, and heck, no one likes to say no. However, if you want to grow your career, and that's why we're here, right? We want to grow our career. If you want to become a better leader, you will have to start to protect your time. One of the best ways in which you can protect your time and your team's time is by going through your calendar and also asking your team to go through their calendars and saying, guys, what meetings are taking time on our calendars where we don't need to attend them. If we don't need to attend them, ask your team to start saying no to those people. I've done this with my team, and you know what happens? A, calendars start to open up, and B, we start to miraculously find time for things that are important, right? So try to do a quick audit of your calendar, figure out what meetings are important, and figure out what meetings are a waste of time. There's got to be one. There's got to be one meeting which does not require you to be there. Okay? So 3 specific tactics or guidelines for a better work from home setup, I guess, is number 1, providing your teams with optionality. We spoke about it. Remember, we spoke about turning off your webcam or turning it on selectively. Number 2, we spoke about, let me quickly look at my notes here. We spoke about your meeting strategy, which is, what do you want to do with your daily check-ins, with your one-on-ones and your team meetings. And by the way, I have a lot of podcasts on how to do an effective one-on-one. So I'm going to link them in the description so you have them as well. And the third tactic was figuring out how to start saying no to meetings, or how to become more intentional in accepting meetings that are going to help you and are going to help your company. So these 3 tactics, these 3 guidelines are going to be helpful. These are not complicated. Are they simple? They're simple, but they're not easy, right? So, but they're not super complicated as well. So something for you to try to get better with. And I will see you next week with another topic. If you liked today's session, hit that subscribe button. If you hated this session, well, let me know. Feedback is really important. I want to make sure that you are getting the value that I am trying to provide you. Okay, I am going to see you next week. Stay safe. I hope you stay healthy. Bye.